Everyone thinks Invincible's saddest character is Mark, or maybe Omni-Man with his guilt. But the real tragedy, it's Atom Eve and no one's talking about it. Beneath all that power and control, she's a girl built to break, suddenly carry trauma that no one else in the show even comes close to surviving. And I don't get it. Because let's be real here, she's not just the most powerful human on Earth, she's also easily the saddest character in the whole damn show. And I'm not saying that to be edgy or to fish for hot takes. I'm saying because I've watched the show, I've read the comics, and I sat with her story. And the more I think about it, the more I realize how deeply Eve's character got under my skin. Just empathize with me for a minute. Sure, Eve seems like a dream at first, super intelligent, can manipulate matter on a molecular level, doesn't just fly and shoot pink energy beams, but literally turns a barren wasteland into a thriving village under 5 minutes, while the rest of the superhero cast is off punching faces and getting tossed through mountains. She's out there really helping people while destroying less. But when people peel back the costume and the confidence, Invincible reveals itself as a tragedy. Take Eve, born in a lab, engineered as a weapon, her childhood a fabricated lie, the house, the memories all fake. Only Dr. Brandy Worth cared enough to hide the truth and give her something real. And yeah, you know that cuts deep. How about Rex Explode? Eve's just trying to find something real, some kind of emotional anchor in a team, in a boyfriend, in the teenage drama she's supposed to be allowed to have. But what does she get? Rex cheats on her, not some random stranger, but with duplicate. And not just one version, no, he cheats on her with multiple copies of the same girl at the same time. That's not just betrayal, that's psychological warfare. Honestly, if that doesn't make you hit like, share this mess with a friend, and subscribe out of sheer emotional damage, what will? Because Eve doesn't just walk away from a breakup, she walks away from a multiverse-level disaster. And even after torching that walking red flag, it's not like peace suddenly falls in her lap. She isolates herself, moves off the grid, builds her own home in the woods. Not because she wants to play nature survivalist, but because she literally can't find a place in society where she fits in. She's too powerful to be normal, too human to be a god, and too kind to sit back and do nothing while the world falls apart. Like that village in Africa that she rebuilt. If we go over the comics, things get even darker. Eve has an abortion. She doesn't talk about it. She doesn't get a therapist arc. She doesn't get a moment to really process any of it. She just powers through. And that's her whole character in a nutshell. And then there is immortality. Eve's powers evolve to the point where she boldly literally won't let her die. She can heal from almost anything. She gets torn to pieces and regenerates. She ages and all her cell resets. She tries to die of old age and her power just brings her back. Death isn't even an option for her anymore. It means she watches everyone die. Mark, her future children, her friends, everyone she loves. They grow old, they suffer, they leave, and she stays alone, alive, watching the world crumble and rebuild over and over again, much like Immortal as shown in the series. Her immortality comes as life sentence. And it's not even something she asked for. Scientists made it happen. Their real parents had a hand in it as well. I think that's cruelty's extreme. She can't even grieve properly. She doesn't get to break down or shut off, because there's always something that needs fixing. Always another crisis, another mission, another war. She barely gets space to breathe. Her emotional wounds never get to heal because every time she starts to process something, she's thrown into another end-of-the-world situation. I know, that sounds like Mark, but her story is much darker. And that fight with Conquest in Season 3 finale, it's absolutely brutal and a great example of what I've been talking about. We saw Conquest, a top-tier well-trimmed warrior, come to Eve with everything he's got. He slams her into the ground, shatters the rock beneath her, and rains blows after blows on her body. Blood splatters, dust flies, and for a moment it looks like she's finished. Like even her incredible matter manipulation can't keep up with Conquest's raw strength. Then something wild happens. Eve's body, broken in nearly every place you can imagine, starts to pull back itself together. You see her bones knitting, her skin smoothing out, her muscles reviving. It's as if someone pressed rewind on her injuries and overshot back to normal to stronger than before. This isn't the same Eve who was blasting energy shields and building walls 5 minutes later. This is Eve rediscovering the full scope of her power. Scientists back when they were running tests on her as a kid installed mental blocks to keep her from realizing how far her abilities could go, blocks meant to stop her from accidentally reshaping the planet or tearing open reality. She grew up thinking her top limit was flipping a tank or healing a broken bone. But in that near-death moment, those mental locks shattered. Her survival instinct overrode every barrier they'd put in her mind. Suddenly, Eve can manipulate organic matter as easily as she rearranges mud and metal. She restructures herself mid-battle, then, with one focused blast of energy, raw power draws from her core of her being. She nearly vaporizes Conquest. In that instant, Eve reclaims herself. She becomes what she always could have been, unstoppable, and Conquest is the first to feel her true strength. What's the saddest part about her life that had her broken is that her real mom, Polly, died giving birth. Eve's powers first erupted uncontrollably and literally tore her mom apart before she even got a name. Her biological dad, Dr. Elias Brandy Worth, was one of the scientists on the project. He could not stand what the government wanted to do to make his own child into a weapon, so he faked her death at the hospital using another baby and slipped Eve away to so-called adoptive parents. These parents, Adam and Betsy Wilkins, though they were raising an orphan, Adam especially treated Eve like her own. Even when she was in intensive treatment after that brutal fight with the Invincible variant. He couldn't really focus on caring. All we could do was blame Mark, shouting for her test results and show off authority, basically. The way he treated her on her 12th birthday in the Atom Eve special is another sad part that broke her more. After fighting monsters, she returned home late only to discover she missed her party. When she begged Adam for comfort, he coldly told her that she had no right to be upset because he'd given her life. She shouted that he treated her like a tool and not a daughter. He shoved her back into her room and left her alone with tears, making her feel like she didn't belong. Even then, she played it cool. In another episode, which is years later after Rex Explode cheated on her, Eve broke up and hoped for her father's support. Instead, he told her men to cheat, and she could forgive Rex. We all knew then and there how toxic he was and what a deep cut it gave her. Well, at least Betsy tried to be comforting to Eve, but her warmth couldn't reach Eve because her husband seemed to play high and mighty all the time by literally controlling his wife from making her own choices. That is the thing, Eve was not raised, she was assembled. Her real mom died because of her power. Her real dad saved her body but sacrificed her childhood. Her adoptive father cared only about control. Through it all, the world saw her not as Samantha Wilkins, but as a walking weapon, or as a weakness as seen by Mark during the fight with Conquest and the one with Invincible variants. Now, the most characters in Invincible get a chance to hit rock bottom. Mark gets beat, but he learns. Nolan breaks, but he begins to reflect. Even Robot, messed up as he is, gets to evolve past his initial programming. But Eve, she gets tossed into the deep end and never gets to come back up for air. What she lacks is peace, closure, rest, and in her world, that's impossible. And it's wild that the show just kinda glosses over this. Not intentionally, maybe, but the focus is always on punching, the betrayals, the shock factor, and she gets maybe 3 episodes to shine while everyone else is yelling about Omni-Man. The truth is, she doesn't need the spotlight. She is the spotlight. Because under all that power and potential is a girl who'd been through more than Mark, and keeps choosing compassion instead of being driven insane like anyone else in her will definitely be. That's just the historical, heartbreaking reality of Atom Eve. Now that I've told you all about it, tell me in the comments what do you think of Eve now? I got another great edit cooking. So stay tuned. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Love you all. Bye.